My phone overheated, so I gotta do this again. Yeah, so like if you're a neurodivergent or someone who's familiar with trauma, definitely stick around. Definitely needing some feedback. And I originally wasn't gonna do this video because I don't like being vulnerable or putting myself out there. I really don't. It's uncomfortable. But anyway. So anyways, there's actually a lot I could say. So feel free to ask me any questions and I'll just do response videos. So some of you, if you've seen old content, you're already aware that a little sorry, I just moved a big freaking tire to sit on. But you already know, like, I have struggled mentally and emotionally. You know, and a lot of that has to do with my environment, definitely. But so I've always struggled with like depression, PTSD, and anxiety. Like even in counseling, last couple months I've just been focusing on counseling and self-love, but I still hold back a lot. That's not the point. So I don't think I've mentioned this before. So like I'm not self-diagnosing, haven't never been assessed or anything either. A lot of what I was growing up, I always thought was because one, I was mostly in isolation, two, no one really ever took the time to teach me things, so I always had to go and find out the hard way. Well, not always, I shouldn't say always, but I did have to learn from mostly experience. So a lot of what I also thought was because of my trauma, right? I want to say the past 6 months to a year, I've been all about self-discovery. I had finally stopped pretending. I really do relate to a lot of high masking videos. That is something that I always did. I always try to be what everybody wanted me to be. I didn't have any self-identity. I always defined myself based on how other people define me. But it was never enough, so I always felt like I was either too much or not enough. Always trying to fit in and just struggling. And I'm very, very good at like over the last couple years especially. I know I kind of did it when I was younger. Like I would always prefer to be off by myself. I didn't really feel comfortable around people, but I didn't self-isolate the way I do now. Like I can disappear for days, weeks, months at a time. Kind of same with my content, like it's erratic. It's been erratic over the years, and then self-branding and all that, rebranding I guess I should say, because this wasn't my original account. That's a whole other thing. I apologize if this seems rambled. So anyways, I don't know if I said it because my phone overheated, so I had to remake this video. So I was talking to my kids, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my daughter, so this was another thing. So when my daughter was born, from a baby, I could tell because I've been around babies and toddlers, children before, like nephews, nieces, other people's kids. So I did recognize something different in her from a very young age, and I did try to tell people that, but I was judged because I was a first-time mom, not being a good mom, that I just didn't know what I was doing, that she was normal, or she was just like any other kid, but I was just like, no. So it wasn't really until she was like 12 when we got her diagnosed, because her social interactions were becoming an obvious problem, and I was like, okay, I think now she's at the age now where these social boundaries, well, I always recognized it, but the outside world didn't. So it was like, okay, now that her social boundaries were so obvious to the school, since it's causing all these problems, now we can probably get her diagnosed. So that's why she didn't get diagnosed until she was 12, because I was always told, oh, she's too young, she's too young, she's too young. And that was such a headache, because I would always tell people to, like, I know she has something, and that's why it is difficult, not difficult to handle her, but, you know, people with special needs, you have to communicate with them a certain way to help them understand, you know. So it was like, I don't know how to approach this because I don't know what she has. Prior to this, I knew nothing about neurodivergence. Which brings me to my next case, my mother. So I don't know if she was ever diagnosed with anything, but she did end up living a hard life. She was never a toxic person, though. And I learned this because I was around her here and there throughout my life, and I have been around her in my adulthood when she was clean and sober. You know, so I seen her sad. She was just such a gentle soul. She was easily taken advantage of. She was very abused. And I just never really understood. There was a lot I never understood when it came to my mom. It was, I just knew, like, I was always told to stay away from her. When she was around, we didn't really interact, like, growing up. So it was always a confusion, but I never hated her. Not once did I ever hate her. I just felt unloved, abandoned, and confused. So into adulthood, as I spent time with her, I realized I was never really gonna have that traditional mother-daughter relationship because she was just so childlike. And I don't know if the drugs and stuff, if she did have a condition already, made it worse. I don't know how that works, right? So as I was saying, you know, thinking about me and how I am and how I've struggled socially, and when I was working at Walmart, and my playlist is on YouTube. It's called The Walmart Experience. I know I made videos on here, but I typically will upload on YouTube and add it to a playlist. So I was just saying, like, it would make sense, you know, thinking back to all my quirks, all my habits since childhood, outside of trauma, outside of the PTSD, outside of depression, outside of anxiety, because even when I'm not feeling those things, there are things that still linger. But this person, that just, I'm not gonna say who, but they're part of my environment, and I was just talking with my kids, and then he was like, you're just trying to have an excuse for your dumbness, and just like, you can't self-diagnose. I was like, I'm not self-diagnosing, I'm saying it would make sense if I had something, because it was obvious my mom did, and then my daughter was diagnosed. I have a son, but, you know, I don't really know, like, if his behavior, like, right now, the stage that he's in, because he's 8 now, no, 10, he's 10 now. I don't know if, like, what he's going through is environmental or what, you know, so I don't know, there's just a lot in there. But then, like, I think about the mistakes I've made, my response to things. I find it hard to mask now because I'm all about just being my authentic self. And that is also what awoken me to my journey. It's like there's something more going on here. Anyways, I kind of rambled and time's almost up. But yeah, so it's just, I'm on the fence about getting assessed or not getting assessed, but mainly because, like, what's going on in the government and stuff right now. So I don't know yet, but I strongly think that I should, definitely. because I don't feel slow or retarded. I feel like I just struggle